Right. So what do you do for O2 Spas?
Well, my name is Alden Ambosta. I'm Program Manager, Customer Experience. I currently handle all customer queries, customer issues, promotions for O2, the customer lifecycle management for our members and our guests.
Let's start off by having you speak about O2 Spas and what do you do for the company.
O2 Spa currently provides wellness services across Pan India, specifically to do with spa and salon services. We currently manage four different channels for the Indian market, mainly into airports, 4 and 5 star hotels, premium malls, and villa properties. We also do business for corporates and railways and hospitals as well. So this is a little about O2 Spa. O2 Spa has been the first in the market to set up its owned and operated wellness centers across India. So all our outlets as on today are owned and operated, and we manage all of them from here.
Perfect. Right. So let's talk about some of O2's big numbers, right? So could you tell me things like customer count, number of cities that you operate in, your annual turnover, like could you tell me about some of O2 Spas like standout numbers?
So we are Asia's largest owned and operated family day spa chain, operating over 70 outlets as on date, all owned and operated, right? And from a customer standpoint, we handle over 1,200 customers on any given day. That's a little from a number standpoint. Uh, well, those are certain numbers which I can share at this moment.
Gotcha. So your industry, which is wellness and care, is effectively one of the oldest industries around, right?
True.
Since the dawn of civilization, there has been something that is related to wellness and care. What technological innovations have you used to improve customer experience as a product manager?
Well, we've actually gone ahead and launched our own CRM tool, all right, which is an in-house tool, and then definitely the launch of Verloop has been a big change for us, because having the bot in place to ensure all customer queries who prefer chatting rather than speaking and ensuring that the queries get addressed. So that's where Verloop actually came into the picture, to have all these queries addressed in the shortest time possible without any manual intervention. Well, we are looking at the next phase of Verloop, which will involve more integration so that customers can go ahead and directly have their appointments booked without having any manual intervention.
Gotcha. So what are some of the challenges you see from a customer experience standpoint that you tackle on a day-to-day basis for O2 Spas?
So we've seen a lot of customer churn. We've seen a lot of customers not coming back to us for reasons best known. Some of the other things that we've noticed is the frequency of usage of services. These are some of the concerns that we've noticed, right? But having technology work that out for us is from building proper customer life cycle management, so that you're able to touch base with your customers, understand what went wrong if something went wrong, and working on that and having them know that they're always welcome to come back.
Absolutely. So what do you see like a demographic split between customers of O2 Spa? So do you see like millennials like enjoying a certain?
Absolutely. We do see that a lot of our customer base, I should say about 60%, 65% of our customer base are millennials, right? And then the split is again between genders, right? All things said and done, we've seen India catching up with this sector, and yeah, it's been a great journey, and we see a lot ahead of us, keeping in mind the way this entire sector is growing, right? It's expected to grow to almost 150 billion in the next 10 years. So yes, that's where we see the sector headed to.
Right. So O2 Spas recently raised a bunch of money from Banyan Capital, right? And one of the avenues in which that money was going to be invested was in the diversification of O2 as a company, right? So O2 Spas has recently launched a line of products called iHeart, right? So from a customer experience standpoint, how do you manage something that is super tactile, like a massage, for example, versus something that is more delayed in that a use of a product? right?
So we actually encourage our customers to get a feel of the product, especially during the service. Right? We want them to know that what we are offering from an ode standpoint and an iHouse standpoint, because ode and iHouse are handcrafted, chemical free, right? And that's where we are all headed towards. So even in our service, we always believe in not compromising on quality. So that's what our products stand out for as well. So letting our customers know that this is something that they have as an option which they can always avail. So that's the reason we could have gone ahead with any retail chain and advertised our product, so on and so forth. But we kept our products for this niche audience who want to always go ahead and avail the best. So that's where we went, or that's our target audience mainly.
Gotcha. So what are some of your favorite metrics, right? So like depending on which function of the business you talk to, each person and each like individual at each level of the company has a different metric that they enjoy tracking and have a different metric that they think embodies the work that they do, right? So as product manager for customer experience, what are some of your favorite metrics to track?
So something that I personally look at is my customer feedback, or NPS as we call it, the Net Promoter Score. We always want to know what our customers tell us. We always want to know how can we take that feedback, implement it in our day-to-day use, right? That's one thing. The second thing we look at is, the second metric that I look at personally is the frequency of the customers coming back to us. I mean, you say they would stop coming back to us if something went wrong somewhere, or maybe there's someone else offering something which is better than us. All right, so we always those are two favorite things that we look at, across the table, especially as a management of O2.
Right. So what are some of the gains you've seen from using a live chat support tool versus just like a website? So what are the differences between just a website and a live chat tool present?
All right, so from a website, there's always that bunch of customers who do not want to speak to anyone because they're not comfortable. And that's the only reason they prefer going onto the chat platform, right? We never had the chat platform unless we felt that, okay, there is a need, because the kind of audience that we cater to, they normally come into the managerial kitty and above from there, right? So that was the need for us to get into the live chat atmosphere. But when we actually seen what was happening on the chat, we were astonished to see the amount of chats that started flowing in. So it was extremely important that every single chat is addressed, right? And we had manual intervention then, and we noticed that that was a problem again, all right, because not all chats were addressed, all right. And what happens in chat is your how long does it take for you to revert back to a guest, right? And that's where we moved from the manual chat platform to Whirloop, right, wherein we actually worked on the algorithms. And a special thank you to the entire Whirloop team for being patient with us and listening to us, and working the entire algorithms out so that, the bot actually understands the major type of cues and kind of reverts back to guests on a timely manner. As on date, we stand at 0 missed chats, thanks to the bot, but we are definitely working on taking it to the next level as to how can it be improved. That's where we are headed to.
Right. So for now, you use Whirloop specifically for a customer service standpoint, right?
Exactly.
So the future in your case is going to be making the bot more sales friendly. The idea is that a customer will visit your website, and through the live chat, they will be able to book an appointment seamlessly, right?
So more than sales, I'm sorry I had to interrupt you. I would look at it from a more customer experience standpoint, because there are a lot of customers who always come to us, right? It's not only about booking an appointment for a sales technique for us, right? We are always welcome to any guest who has any query and suggest them or advise them what works best. Right now, for example, a lot of people come to us saying that, hey, do you guys, what do you recommend? I have a dry skin. Is there any service you recommend? And we always suggest that. See, we advise you to go ahead and use this service because you have a dry skin, right? Now, fortunately, the bot actually learns all of this, all right, and then goes ahead and responds appropriately. All right, and as and when required, the bot also allows or incorporates manual intervention. So we always have somebody who's there, but nonetheless, the bot kind of takes care of it for us.
What do you think the future of the industry is?
The future of the industry from here would be not only about a bot intervention, but being able to have an entire transaction closed end to end at the click of a button, rather than kind of waiting, asking your queries, having it addressed, all right? Real time support at any given point of time. I mean to say, being there for any customer, all right? And not just that, not just a single appointment, planning the entire calendar accordingly so that the customer's calendar gets synced with mine, so that I'm able to go back and tell the customer that, hey, you know what, you have something on your calendar today. How about going ahead and having your appointment booked? I mean to say, why wait to chat with someone? Why not take it to the whole new level?
Right. So, as product manager for customer experience for O2 Spas, right? What do you think are some of the changes that you've seen since when you joined the company to where you are right now?
So when I actually joined the company, we used to only do about inbound and outbound calls. Apart from that, we were at about 18 outlets across Pan India, handling few outlets, trying to understand the business, because not all of us are from the spa industry, right? And while we've actually learned the entire business from scratch, right? And more than the business, it was more about the customer experience for us, right? Operating at airports, because the kind of customers at these 4 channels are very different. So the change was more about learning from customers' feedback, implementing those changes, trying to understand how did that come back, and always learning. So it's been a learning experience all through, and I believe that we are still learning.
What are some of the gains in terms of number perspective that you've seen from using a live chat tool?
So one thing being, A, we have 0 missed chats. B, the tool understands when to go ahead and pop up for booking an appointment, rather than, like, normally in a human or a human scenario, it involves the agent to go ahead, wait, when do I ask the question to book the appointment or not. But when it comes to the bot just goes ahead and throws the question to go ahead and have the appointment booked. The third thing is, the bot is fast from a response time standpoint, all right? Because that's what customers want. They look at your average response time, your ART or ARR, as they say, right? And the bot is always there with the customer. Not that, like, it could be multiple customers at one go. The bot is there to kind of handle it all. With manual intervention, we could not do that. We could do a maximum of about 4 to 6 chats, but the bot doesn't do that. It kind of handles all the chats at any given point of time. That's what has actually worked out for us.
Right. So I think another one of the advantages, for example, of using a live chat system is that it is available 24 hours.
Exactly.
Right? So using Everloop, have you managed to gauge what your what your interaction time is, or like the interaction percentage that you missed out, say, by only being online 8 hours a day?
So our average response time, our ART, used to be somewhere around 1 minute and 20 seconds previously, right? Today we stand at an 18-second respond time, right? Because by the time the tool actually learns what the customer is trying to say and then responds back, it's definitely much lesser. So I'm looking at it from a production and non-production standpoint. So this is where we stand as on date.
Mm-hmm. So given that you operate in Pan India, right?
Correct.
Right. Do you have plans to expand, say, globally anytime soon?
So that's where the plan is right now. We definitely need to see how we can work that out, because we are very careful with our investment, because we prefer being in the right place and doing the right business at any given point of time, and we want to cater to the right audience. So yes, the plan definitely is to expand as much as possible, but expanding at the right rate and at the right time.
Is there anything else you'd like to say about your job that I haven't touched upon?
I think we've covered it all, and special thanks to the entire Everloop team for being that change for us.